Mewtwo Mega X comes to Pokemon Unite in just a few days, and here's everything you need to know about Mewtwo X. Mega X. Mewtwo is a melee all-rounder based off its attack stat, and you can see Mega Mewtwo X here is what you evolve into in and out of combat inside of a match of Pokemon Unite. Mewtwo starts level 1 with a choice between Confusion and Barrier. You're going to want to start with Confusion. It does a decent amount of damage, fires extremely fast, has a stun, and is your secure tool, especially if you're heading into lane. Before level 5, Mewtwo feels relatively underwhelming here. Kind of like an Urshifu, it needs that power to get really started. At level 3, you have the option of your other move, which should be Barrier right here. Barrier is going to give you a shield, and it also increases move speed slightly for your Pokemon. The beginning of the game is very basic for this Pokemon, and I can see a lot of people playing this in the central area. As you can see, that gauge under my health is your Mega gauge, and you can't do anything with that, or I guess I should say it's your pressure gauge. You can't do anything with that until you hit level 5. Once you do, once that gauge fills, you will become Mega Mewtwo X. In fact, if you happen to have that gauge full and then you hit level 5, you will immediately transform, as you can see right here. Mewtwo is very interesting in that the more damage it is doing to opposing Pokemon, the higher this Pokemon's stats get. So this Pokemon becomes progressively powerful as you are fighting, and then finally when it evolves, it becomes even more powerful. I guess when it megas, it becomes even more powerful. You can't see all of its stats, but take a look at its defense and special defense up in the left corner right here. You can see them increasing as I am attacking this doll, and then finally when I become Mega Mewtwo X, you can see they jump up right there. This includes your attack, your special attack, and you'll notice your HP jumps up considerably as well. Basically, this is the form you want to be fighting in, and if you're fighting against Mewtwo, this is the form you want to be running from, finding moments where they are not Mega evolved so that you can KO them. You have a choice between Future Sight and Psystrike for your first Mew, and I think Psystrike is pretty cool, but Future Sight feels like a more powerful option. Interestingly enough, Psystrike did get a buff on the PTS, so we'll have to try it in the main game to see exactly how this feels. Future Sight, though, really powerful, feels like an upgrade to Confusion. Let me show you how it works. Future Sight deals damage and pulls the opposing Pokemon towards you while also stunning them. It also then puts a mark on them. The damage that you do to the Pokemon during that mark will then explode and do increased damage afterwards. Let me show you. So if you just do the damage right here, 326 with another 326, not a ton of damage. Now watch what happens if you're attacking them before this mark explodes. The mark then exploded for a much higher number. Now, if you are Mega when that mark explodes, it can get really crazy. Let me get Mega here in 1 second so you can see what I'm talking about. You get Mega right here. You hit him with the Future Sight. Mega, Mega, Mega. Boom. Look at the explosion of damage right there. Almost 2,000 damage at the end of that Future Sight. I think the combination of Future Sight into your Mega is going to be extremely powerful, and you're going to pick up super surprising KOs. Psystrike is a really interesting move. It's very cool. It deals damage to your opponents. It's kind of a sure hit lock-on that you can back away from. You then throw this massive ball at the end of it that deals damage and knocks up not only your opponent, but enemies next to your opponent. This felt pretty weak on the PTS earlier, but it looks like the buff damage might make this a pretty viable move. The amount of time that your opponent spends in the air is actually pretty considerable with something like this, and you could use this to set up some moments where you move into fight. When you are Mega Mewtwo X, you're going to be spending your time fighting rather than using your Psystrike, but your moves are going to be more powerful at this time as well, so it's kind of a sure hit that you can use and actually move away from a fight also. This also reduces the move speed of the target you put it on, and you do take reduced damage while you are using this, so it could be pretty powerful. Your next move is either Teleport or Recover. Recover is an interesting move. Recover feels like it works a lot like Slowbro's health bar, except you use it and opponents kind of charge it for you. So if I put Recover on, I get a big shield here, and any damage that I take from this Snorlax, I will start to recover as HP. Let me show you really quick. There's my shield. It hits me, and I start recovering HP when it hits me. It's a pretty cool move. It also gives you that same move speed increase that you see earlier from your Barrier. and you can just use this more effectively inside of a fight. You'll notice also that if you use this and take no damage, you recover no health. So you want to use this as something that you are doing inside of combat to continue to recover health. Also, if they break your shield, which is very possible, especially if you're fighting multiple enemies, you will reduce the cooldowns of your moves and you will increase your mega gauge. At level 11, you get the increase to Psy Strike, which just decreases movement speed even more for the enemy Pokemon that you put it on. At level 13, you get Recover Plus. Recover Plus will increase the amount of HP that you recover with Recover. You can see these enemies hitting me right here. I'll put it on, and they are all giving me some HP as they are hitting me right there. It's going to be much more useful against multiple enemy Pokemon. Your second option for your second move is Teleport, and it's essentially like having a incredible eject button on an extremely low cooldown. So not only do you teleport just like an eject button basically, but this also sets you up to do more damage to your opponents. I feel like Teleport feels incredibly powerful. Like, it's just so good. I'm kind of shocked by it. Not only do you teleport, you get a move speed increase, you deal increased damage, and your mega gauge charges faster for a moment after you use it. It just is so good. I don't know. I feel like Teleport is so good, you guys, like truly insane. Pokemon that get hit by Future Sight plus take increased damage when you're hitting them, so it's just set up to really get some insane KOs. I feel like Future Sight is going to be amazing here, pulling the enemies next to you, dealing a ton of damage, and then seeing a massive amount of damage pop off. This is going to be something that helps you chain KOs in a major way. And then Teleport Plus increases damage dealt to opposing Pokemon to an even greater degree. So you're just doing some insane stuff with these two as a combo. I feel like this will be the combo when people start playing inside the game. We're going to have to see, of course, but it's just so incredibly strong. A few interesting things. Obviously, Teleport increases your damage, so using Teleport to chase is not only a good way to get KOs, but it's also a pretty amazing way to start doing more damage to your opponents, jumping on in there as soon as you mega, and really going crazy. Now we get to talk about Mewtwo's Unite move, which is probably the coolest part of Mewtwo in general. Mewtwo's Unite move, as you can see, has a ton of psychic energy strike down from the sky, and it will hit any Pokemon on the map. All 5 enemy Pokemon are targeted by this move. However, even though they're targeted, this move is not a sure hit. Your opponents can easily move out of the range of it, even though this Snorlax right there, you can see it doing it right there. Simply walking out of it will make it so that they do not get hit by this. Other items like Shedinja Doll, Eject Button, a dash that your Pokemon has, there are tons of ways to get away from this move. But of course, inside the heat of combat, there are also a lot of ways to get hit by this, and it also does some really incredible things that you may not realize. So you can see if you look at the minimap here, I don't know where Snorlax is, but as soon as I use this move, I can see them on the minimap. Because this move targets your opponents wherever they are, it also gives you vision everywhere on the map. This thing is giving you vision like it is Wanda out here. Well, I guess Wanda cares more about her kids now, but you get what I'm saying. It's an incredibly powerful tool around some of the ending fights, not only for the damage, but also because you can see exactly where your enemy Pokemon are. A cool combo I've noticed that by no means you're going to hit is Future Sight right into your Unite move. It makes it a lot harder for your opponents to get away from that Unite move, and then at the same time, all the other enemies around the map are hit. Let me show you some other cool things about this Unite. Let me show you some other cool things about your Unite move. It deals really nice damage here. There was 2,094 damage. As I mentioned earlier, your Teleport increases the damage you do to opposing Pokemon. If you use your Teleport first, 2,722 damage. So that's just a way to increase the damage of your Unite move. Of course, you deal more damage when you are Mega as well. So if you're a Mega and you use your Teleport and you use your Unite, you could deal a ton of damage. As you saw, there was 3,400 damage on this Unite. Something interesting to notice right here, even though you'll see 2 circles for it right here, this will not hit your enemies multiple times. So all 5 of your enemies can be standing on one point and you will not hit them with 5 Unite moves. At least inside of the public test arena, that is not how this works currently. So you could have all the enemies together, but they're still getting hit by one big instance of damage from your Unite move. And as you just saw right there, it does hit wild Pokemon, meaning this will be able to steal objectives like Rayquaza, Regieleki, as long as the enemy Pokemon are on them and they are in range for this to be able to be stolen. You could get a sneaky steal on lots of different things, like I just stole that blue buff. As you can see here, I'm doing a lot of damage to these enemies, but my Mega Gauge is not increasing at all. Your Mega Gauge only increases when you deal damage to what is considered an enemy Pokemon. So objectives, wild Pokemon, none of it increases your Mega Gauge. The only thing that will increase your gauge is doing basic attack damage to enemy Pokemon. The substitute doll counts as an enemy Pokemon, and you can see my gauge increasing right there, and then I Mega. After you Mega, you kind of go on a very, very small cooldown before you can Mega again. I believe it's 5 seconds right now. Basically, if you keep a sustained fight going on with Mewtwo, you will be able to Mega sort of twice in a row right here. We can see me. I stop being Mega Mewtwo X. I go back into attacking to charge my Mega Gauge right here. And as soon as it gets full, I'm ready to be Mega Mewtwo X once again. Something kind of cool here for the Psystrike build is you can use Psystrike and then actually teleport backwards through it. You'll still continue to deal the damage and then throw that massive, Psystrike ball at the end of it, but you could create some amazing positioning here for Mewtwo. Again, I think that this teleport move is going to be really, really popular. It's just so incredibly good. There are, situations where you can get away from your opponents in some crazy ways and situations where you can chase your opponent in some big ways. If Mewtwo has some weaknesses, I would say one of its biggest ones is it's not particularly great around objectives. It doesn't take objectives down that well. Even though you can deal damage to them, at the same time, there isn't really much you can do to rip them super fast. You can't Mega off them. Your moves don't do an insane amount of damage to them. It's really set up for fighting your opponents as opposed to fighting objectives and things like that. Something to notice, when you are Mega Mewtwo X, you can see how your attacks sort of heat seek you onto an enemy right here as you dash in, dealing these massive damage critical hits. That is something to notice. I believe it's at level 5 you start gaining some natural critical hit for this Pokemon, and crits on Mewtwo are huge. You also, of course, would think that you would want to increase basic attack speed on this Pokemon, and while you clearly can, it really doesn't feel like you get that big of a benefit from it. We'll talk about items here in 1 second. As always with items and boost emblems for a Pokemon, we're gonna have to wait to fully know exactly how powerful this will be and what its scaling is like to recommend something directly. I feel like weakness policy, attack weight, scope lens are all very powerful for this Pokemon. We might also get a lot of value out of something like a muscle band or rapid fire scarf, even though it felt like in the test server that the attack speed buff was not that considerable. Of course, an item like an energy amplifier might be very exciting because this Unite move is super cool and you're going to want to use it a lot, and doing more damage with it is always incredible. A focus band will also help you fight longer when you finally become Mega Mewtwo X. It does feel a little like Outrage Dragonite in that you finally kind of get that Mega into a fight, and then you want to stay there and be as healthy as long as you possibly can. Pairing this with a weakness policy and then, getting in there and just fighting as long as you can with Recover could be a really nice combo for this Pokemon. Things I would stay away from, obviously anything like Wise Glasses. This Pokemon is not special attack based, so you don't need anything like this. A Buddy Barrier probably won't be the call with this Pokemon, as you will often use its Unite move when you may not even be near an ally. And then something very support heavy like Experience Share feels like a big mistake when you're playing a heavy carry Pokemon. For boost emblems, I would recommend sort of the classic 6 white, 6 brown on this Pokemon. Lean into the extra HP, lean into the extra attack, and if you want to, you can even throw some critical hit on there. But in general, you're just going to want to focus a lot on brown and white for this Pokemon, and there's a perfect emblem setup for that right now. Will Mewtwo be as broken as Zacian? I sure hope not, but I know a lot of people are very excited about this Pokemon. Let me know if you are excited for this or if there's something coming up soon that you're more excited for in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Yeehaw to you and yours. I love you. Second anniversary. Wow. Did you get me anything for our anniversary?